From the heart of your nation's capital to the shores of the Empire State, this is the Patriot Report. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to my global audience. Walter Cotton back at you with another installment of the Patriot Report. And on today's program, we are going to deal with the election, but we're going to deal with it from a constitutional perspective, a point of view that most people in the mainstream media aren't talking about right now. I'm also going to deal with the science behind COVID, and I'm going to offer you an invitation to look at something other than maybe the promoted approach to that particular challenge that we are looking at. And then finally, I'm going to introduce you to some of the youngest members of the tribe that I'm creating, those economic warriors that are taking this new economy by storm. And they have a question for you, right? They have an invitation that they'd like to share with you. And that invitation is for you to take a good close look at what's going on in your house. They're asking the question, what's in your wallet? All that and more on this installment of the Patriot Report. Cause only drinks can fade. There's nothing to be afraid of. If you can't take it, then we'll take it from here. We'll take it from here. My whole team is butter, that's why we on the road. And we coasting. So park your thing, cause can't nobody come close. We making it spread while we toasting. Hey, thanks for hanging in there with me through that particular segue, the election. I mean, what do you say about this thing, right? It's one of the most contentious elections that we've seen in the history of this great nation. But the popular media, in my opinion, is not going through an effort of education. It's not doing, in my opinion, the best job of educating the populace so that we can make a decision that's something other than an emotional decision based on the outcome. And I know if many of you are like me, like you weren't the best student in school when you were coming up, so civics probably wasn't your best course, and you may not completely understand how the political process runs, and therefore you could be deluded into believing that right now, as I record this particular program, which is November 22nd of 2020, that Joe Biden is currently the president-elect. Well, in point of fact, when you look at how our electoral process works, that's not the case. Joe Biden will not become the president-elect until all of the votes are certified by all of the states. And since we currently have a few states that have votes that are being recounted or are still hanging in the balance, Joe Biden is still just a candidate for the presidency of the United States of America, just like Donald Trump is just a candidate at this point for the presidency of the United States. Now, the beauty of what I want you guys to look at is our constitutional system. And I want you to look at the genius that our forefathers built into that system that is the underpinning of our form of government. And for those of you who are under the misconception that we operate in a democratic system, that's not the case at all. Our system of governance is based on a constitutional republic. And in a constitutional republic, each citizen has one vote. It is our democratic form of government that allows each individual vote to count through our electoral system, which is the election system that we're going through right now. So just to frame how that system works, we have a system of electing a president that is based on an electoral college system where each state, based on their population, has been doled out a number of electoral college votes. And the aggregate of that electoral college vote capture that
goes over 270 votes is what is required for an individual to capture the presidency of the United States of America. At this particular point, what happens in the process is the citizens go in and vote, and the states tally those votes. And if a candidate on the Republican side of the equation is found to be the winner, then those states' electoral college votes go over to that candidate, and vice versa on the Democratic side of the equation. Well, in the current situation that we have, most of the states have ratified their votes, and we have a growing tally between the two candidates. But at this particular point of the recording, none of the candidates have reached that 271 electoral vote count in order to be justified, or in order to justify the term president elect. Now, after we get through that point where all of the votes are tallied and all of the votes are certified, the candidate with the majority of the electoral college votes becomes the president elect. But if you understand our system of selecting a president, you will understand that the electoral college's suggestion or recommendation to Congress is just that. Under our form of government, Congress does not have to accept the Electoral College's recommendation. And in the event where we have a situation where there is a divided populace and there is the potential or question about the integrity of the election system, our Congress has the rights based on our Constitution to not certify what is suggested as the popular vote. And based on their due diligence and deliberation, they have the ability to use a system which allows the House to select the president based on the availability of a state by state vote, and for the Senate to select the vice president based on a similar vote. And once that popular vote is cast, the outcome delivers the president of the United States. Now, the reason that it's important for us to understand or to have that education and that foundation is that it doesn't put us in a position to become emotionally unmoored in this challenged time period. Whether you're on the side of the equation that included the 70 plus million votes that were Republican votes, or the 70 plus million votes that were Democratic votes, at the end of the day, you have to respect and appreciate our constitutional system of government and our electoral process. And we can't have it both ways, right? We who are on the Democratic side or we who are on the Republican side of the equation have to all fold into the Patriot side of the equation for this particular process. And what our constitutional system yields, what our election process yields, we have to defend it because it is what is the underpinning of the fabric of these United States of America. And let me remind you that as a service member, as a true patriot to these United States of America, I and all of the current servicing service members took an oath to these United States of America to defend the Constitution, not any office, not any party, but the Constitution of these United States of America against any threat, foreign or domestic. I want you to adhere to, and I want you to heed that particular understanding as the results of this election are determined, because independent of who becomes the confirmed elected president of these United States of America, I expect every patriot to honor the outcome of our great Constitution. When I come back from this break, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the COVID thing and something that you need to add to your daily supplement. All that and more when I come back.
My God over yours. My God over yours. My God over yours. Your understanding less than mine, I'm much more.
Okay, thanks for sticking again with me through that particular segue, folks. And we're going to deal with the most challenging issue that we're facing as a species right now. And that's this pandemic, right? That's this pandemic of COVID-19, the coronavirus, and its ability to decimate the population. And I'm sure that you're listening to all of the information in the mainstream media about the Project Warp Speed efforts to come up with some type of a pharmaceutical solution to this particular challenge. And you're listening to differing views, right? Following the science and some following the conspiracy of this issue. Well, I have a very simple invitation for the powers that be. Whoever becomes confirmed as the president of these United States of America, I have a simple request that you look into a natural solution that's available in abundance that can cause our population to put themselves in a para-immune position against the virus. And what I'm specifically talking about is these facts. It is a scientifically proven fact that no one has presented to hospital. Let me say that again. No one has presented to the hospital with a COVID infection that had vitamin D and vitamin C levels that were equivalent to or greater than what you see on the screen. Let me say that again. There is a suggestion that there is a direct correlation between the immune health of individuals that have vitamin D and vitamin C levels that are above the numbers that are on the screen and their ability to fight off COVID and the coronavirus's ability to attack their system. More importantly than that, there have been additional studies that have been done on people who have presented to the hospital with COVID-19, with the coronavirus intact. And those individuals, when given vitamin D as a part of their therapeutic regime, 100% of them survived. Let me state that again. If you take 100 people that have the COVID virus, that are presenting with symptoms, and you give 100 of those people vitamin D and vitamin C as a part of your treatment regime, 100% of those people will survive. And based on the scientific data in the study that I'm pointing to right here, only one of those people will escalate and have a need for additional treatment. So for our leaders, for those individuals that are going to be responsible for providing guidance to the public in terms of what we should do to work our way out of this pandemic, I'm going to ask you to employ the Hippocratic Oath, which is the oath that the physicians take to first do no harm. If we have a natural solution that allows us to achieve para-immunity so that we have a natural defense system against this virus, my question would be, why would we be recommending to the public a vaccine that has a lesser percentage chance of success? And to you, the general public, I'm encouraging you to investigate aggressively the good news, the good attributes of these natural, God-gifted solutions that you can employ to insulate yourself, fortify your immune system, so you put yourself in a position where you never get this virus. The choice is yours, though, at the end of the day. And I want to make sure that I go on the record of saying I'm not anti-virus. What I am is anti-common sense. When I come back, I'm going to introduce you to two young guns that are posing the question, what's in your wallet? I was asked to share my perspective on the word peace, and here I will quote Gil Scott-Heron. Peace is not the absence of war, it's the absence of the rumors of war and the threats of war and the preparation for war. Peace, y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce you to the Finney Bros, cause they got next.
Hello, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Marquise Finney. This is my bro,
Mortenson. Finney, how you doing? And today we just want to give a little insight of just some things that we have opinions on and just some things that are going on in our society that we just decided to speak on today. So we're going to give you our thoughts and just our feelings on it, but also just want to be open and just kind of speak our minds of some of these topics that are trending and some topics that just kind of flood our everyday life. So without further ado, here we go.
And the first question of the day is, what do you think about this election, bro?
Honestly, bro, I'm gonna start off with a saying one of my good friends said. Don't worry about who in the White House. Worry about who in your house. And what I mean by that is we are always so focused on what's going on in somebody else's life and also trying to tell them what they should do or what they shouldn't do. And we're so quick to judge their actions without kind of looking at our own actions. And I think that's a big issue with our society today. We have so many Facebook politicians and everybody who thinks they know what's best for the world. But have they ever stopped to think what's actually best for their lives and what's going on with their lives, their family? What is best for them? How can they improve their individual self? Instead of always trying to tell somebody else what they should be doing or what they're doing wrong. Feel me on that?
I'm with you 100%. And it's been a trending topic, actually, coming up to the election, prior to the election, 2020 as a whole. It's been a lot of people just going at whether this is best, whether that is best, not taking a second to look in their own lives and saying, well, what am I doing? And how is my actions on an everyday basis affecting society as a whole? And one of the questions that continuously comes up to me is, how is voting for whatever president coming next going to affect my personal life? And I understand there are some issues and I may, offend a few people here, but in reality, overall, no matter who gets in office, my goal is to make sure that I'm ready to take care of my family for the years to come. Doesn't matter who gets in office. I gotta be on my grind for what's next for me. And I think a lot of people just aren't at that stage. They don't get that understanding that the voting, there are some things that are wrong in society. There's a lot of stuff. But until we actually make a real difference, putting your name on a ballot and checking a box, okay, that puts something else in the White House. But what does it do for what's going on in your world?
And like you said, bro, have you thought about this? We check a ballot and our name's on it, but does that really count? Does it really matter if we look at it? And I've thought about that. Like, we think we're making so much of a big difference, but sometimes really are we? And that kind of just floods my mind at times. I'm like, does my vote really count? But even if it doesn't, what is one vote or my vote? How does that change? What does that change my future? Yes, they might raise taxes. Change healthcare, but what is that doing sometimes just for me every day on an everyday basis? Yes, taxes affect us every day, but taxes does not affect my well-being. And we are so focused on, well, what is the next man or woman going to do for our well-being? But the question we should be asking, what are we doing for our well-being? Instead of trying to be consumed with so many outlets like social media or trying to keep up with the Joneses or whoever, how about we just take some time to focus, get away from all that, and focus on what are we doing next? We're so focused on what the world is telling us to do next, but what are we doing next,
And that kind of goes into a little bit of what's going on in the social unrest and what has happened this year. the world continues to put us in a box. And I'm really at the point where I'm like, just don't define me. Because I am more than whatever you categorize me as. And one of the big things this year has been defining people by color. And while race is a huge thing, don't get me wrong, I'm saying I am more than just the skin tone that is on my body.
Absolutely.
I am more than just a male. I am more than just whatever religion that I affiliate with. I'm more than just that. There are so many things to me as a human being.
Absolutely.
And society continues to try to identify us and define us by these boxes. And the more that I try to expand my knowledge, the more I read, the more things I do, I realize there is no definition of me that can be put into a book where you can just check a box and say, okay, this is who this person is.
Absolutely.
And this is how they should act. And someone was actually talking about being a human again. Just not being in any boxes.
Absolutely.
And as I heard them talk more and more, I was like, wow, that's huge.
True.
If we could just get back to being human beings, it would make a huge difference.
Bro, it's funny you say that. Brings me to another quote, and this one I created. My mama raised a man. She didn't raise a yes man. And she also raised me to think outside the box. So it's funny they think they can put us in one. And what I mean by that is, my mama raised a man. And I'm just so tired of, why does black have to always follow my every move? I'm a man. Why can't I just be a man? Why can't I just be a human? Why do I have to fit in every stereotype? What a black man should do, what a black man speaks, how a black man should dress. Before black, I'm a man. And I want to be looked at as a man for a change. Why are we so focused on an identity? We're trying to reclaim the black identity. We're trying to reclaim this. First of all, we need to reclaim, like you said, our humanity. And I think once we hit that right, then everything else becomes easier. But we are always so quick to be, oh, I'm black, I'm this. But why can't we just be human beings again and just be regular people just trying to be successful, going after goals? And I know you're very driven, and you're not gonna let no race, you're not gonna let no stereotype hold you back. And if we can get that into the minds of people, not just our people, but the minds of people, to get outside the box, our world it will be so much better, and we will be better as humans and as just neighbors. I mean, I look at everybody as neighbors. I feel like I'm called to love everyone. So when we step outside that box, we can see that more clearly. We can look at life through a different lens, because right now, I feel like our lens is falling.
Very, very. And it turns into a thing of expectations. And we have to live up to the expectations set by our own social bubble.
Yes.
And I'm ready to burst that bubble. I'm saying, okay, I understand there are some normalities depending on where you're from, what you do.
Absolutely.
There's a thing that the other people in your hood may associate with. And because you look different, because you dress different, because you talk different, it makes you where you're an outcast. But I'm saying, if you have your own individuality, if everyone in America, let's cut that, everyone in the world was able to have their own individuality, imagine how much better of a place we would be in if people could think for themselves.
Right. Absolutely. But one thing I can say for sure, the Finney brothers gonna get ours.
Oh yeah.
Regardless who in the White House, regardless what's going on election-wise, all this stuff, the Finney brothers gonna get ours. Because it starts with a mindset.
Oh yeah.
So if you got that grind mentality, that grind mindset, nobody can stop you.
Yeah.
Only one could stop me, only one who could stop us from our dreams and our goals is us, because nobody else can stop it. And I think if more people get that mindset, more people get that confidence in themselves, that listen, no matter what's in my way, I'm gonna grind and I'm gonna keep going, because nothing can stop me. The White House, nobody. And if we just get that and stop letting the media portray and make our every move, and we just stop and think for a second for ourselves, and we can see what's really going on instead of being told, honestly, bro, we're breastfed. It's just like we're breastfed from the media, and we just keep taking and taking. And they got us where they want us. They don't got us where they want us, because we're thinking for ourselves. And I really wish that we can get our audience, and not everybody, and some people do think like, but I want our audience just to learn to think for themselves and to understand, listen, Don't let somebody make your next move. How about you stop, reflect, and think about your next move?
And I think that's the word for moving into 2021. You know, a lot of people after 2020 are at this place like, what's next for
What's
me?
next? Dang.
A lot of people have lost their jobs. A lot of people are just in a place where nothing is making sense anymore. And they're saying, what's next? So I'm challenging my audience today to go into that next level, that next year, and try to identify how you're going to be defined in that next year. Are you going to set your own definition, or are you going to allow others to do that? So without further ado, this is the Solution Dome. And if anything,
This is
anything.
Let's get it.
You know, I want to thank you for sticking with me through that particular break, but I want to take a moment out and talk to you about our approach to group economics. You guys know that I've set up a community of practice where we've got a group of people who wear my social uniform that are developing a skill set that is taking this wealth transfer, this $500 billion wealth transfer by storm. And they're using a superpower that you have access to. But I want to talk to you for a minute about some of the developmental needs that we have as a community when we start talking about entrepreneurialism. And I know that this is going to ruffle a few feathers, but guess what? If you're looking to make an omelet, you got to break a few eggs. And in point of fact, the vast majority of people that are listening to this particular podcast are not prepared for entrepreneurialism. Many of you are first generation entrepreneurs, and you would fail right out of the gate if you were given the resources and the money necessary to start your own business. That's just a fact. And it's a fact that's supported by the data. And if you look at the data of the attrition rate, the abysmal attrition rate of small businesses worldwide, you're going to see this fact borne out. Entrepreneurialism isn't for everybody. But when it comes to people who wear my social uniform, we have another dilemma. And that dilemma comes from the fact that the oppression that we've experienced over the 400 plus years that we've evolved out of slavery puts us in a position where we're entering this new age race for entrepreneurialism as first generation entrepreneurs. And that means that we don't have the benefits of our competitors. We don't have the benefit of the guidance that the rich dad versus the poor dad gave to those generations of entrepreneurs that came before them, right? So in many instances, what we need to do before we jump into that entrepreneurial ocean is we need to fortify ourselves. We need to train ourselves. We need to study ourselves approved. And in many instances, we need to get ourselves connected to a tribe of people that can help us see around the blind side, right? Help see those areas of opportunities, or can help point us to those best practices that have helped them get over the same barriers and hurdles that we are going to have to encounter. Well, folks, the good news for you is that there's a community of practice out there that has all of those capabilities, all of those attributes in tow. And right now, between now and the end of the year, you have an opportunity to study yourself approved because it's open to the public. That's right. There is a free trial offer for the MPU network. And all you got to do is surf out to www.mympu.org, sign up for the program, and select the 90-day free offer. And during that 90-day free trial, you get a chance to peer behind the curtains and see what's going on with a group of people that are not talking about group economics, but are actually practicing group economics. You get to see the tools that you will be able to employ against yourself, but more importantly, you'll get to see a group of people that are inspired, right? They're inspired by this ability that they have to work in this collective, right? To work in these tribal functions to go and take down billions of dollars worth of opportunity. And quite candidly, folks, All I'm doing for you is giving you an opportunity to complete the assessment that I asked you to do when I gave you the invitation to look at what you're currently doing to create wealth, generational wealth, dare I say, for 5 generations of your family, and compare that against what is available through what we're calling the Cotton approach. And I've eliminated all of your barriers by removing any stigma that there was no transparency by providing you with the free trial. So it's in your hands now, folks. Surf out to the mympu.org website, sign up for the free trial, and change your life forever. Well, that's been about a full vote for I said vote, but I meant vote for this particular Patriot Report. Next time out, we're going to take another look at the numbers, folks. Billions and billions of dollars that are going by the wayside. People in the MPU network are taking advantage of it. Your opportunity is now. Hope to see your face in the place. Until next time, this is Walter Cotton saying, I'm out.
Cause now I'm at the bank with it. And for those that count me out, can see me counting up. Cause now I'm at the bank with it. And we don't even need a mouse, we keep on adding up. Cause now I'm at the bank with it. Ooh, and you know I got dank on me, we can't roll it up. Cause now I'm at the bank with it. Now I'm at the bank with it. I've been in my shit, I've been in my good vibes and some bad bitches understanding. The good got me for bad minutes, not a 10, some 5, lucky 7 average. I'm a lotto fucking stud, but on a damn ticket, call me Uncle Elroy. As long as you let me hit it, it's blunt. And long I even let you wet lip it. And we ain't gotta tell none of your friends. But if I beg your pardon, come again, and girl, don't play with it. Shit, we can skip third base, slide to my home plate with it. Sometimes I gotta get away from it, but right now I'm trying to get away with it, girl. So don't you play around. Stand up, nigga, still known to lay it down. No COVID-19, my corona is a crown. They say heavy is the head, never let it weigh me down. No way. Trying to take over the world, getting piggy and brave. Now I'm trying to take over the world, getting picky and brain, getting top down, screaming how money man changed me. I could've stayed the same forever, but wouldn't have got paid to be. So now I'm at the bank with it. And for those that count me out, can see me counting up. Cause now I'm at the bank with it. And